Mortal Engines is a new film directed by Christian Rivers, and he's the alumni of Peter Jackson. And Peter Jackson is a producer, and also he wrote the screenplay along with his wife. In this film, Mortal Engines is a film adaptation of the novel Mortal Engines, written by Philip Reeve, and I haven't read the book, so I don't know what to tell you about this film. Mortal Engines takes place 1,000 years into the future, and we human beings were had war amongst ourselves, and somehow throughout the war, mankind created nuclear technology called Medusa, and it wiped out the planet. Now that right there is just straight nuclear holocaust right there, but wow. But everyone on the earth didn't die. There were a few people that survived. And the remaining of the population are now mobilizing cities and towns throughout the planet, and they're all fighting for resources. And that's what Mortal Engines are. Giant cities, giant towns that is able to mobilize on wheels, and they're able to roam through the planet. And we have the movie Mortal Engines. Also, I forgot to mention that this movie revolves around the hero of this film. And the hero, her name is Hester Shaw, and she's being played by Hera Hilmar, if I got her name right. And her main story arc in this film that she's trying to exact revenge on the death of her mother against a person who was very close to her in her past. After watching this film, I just didn't know how to approach you guys. So whatever I say is basically on the film, and I'm gonna let you guys know that this film was really boring and uninteresting at all, and I just really felt like this movie should have never existed. For me personally, I usually go with the positives first, but now I'm going to switch it up in this video. I'm going to get the negatives out the way, because the negatives, I felt like this film had potential, and I felt like the negatives had to be pointed out. It's just the writing. The writing is just the main thing that's just tore this movie apart. The writers didn't really do a good job of developing character motives for each character. They didn't really do a good job of putting more stuff into the story, putting more substance to the story, so that can get the audience to follow the main character on this journey and path. Some of the plot points and plot details, the story just doesn't really make sense. I feel like the story is non-existent at times, and that was the main reason that got me out of this film, where I felt a little bit bored, because watching this movie, I'm asking myself, what is the story about? And yes, the main character's motive is to get revenge, but is that the main story of this whole entire movie? Is it more? What is the villain's main goal? These were the questions I was asking myself. The main character in this film was not really interesting. There wasn't really moments where I was took a step back and looked back at her performance, and I was like, yeah, her performance was memorable. It wasn't really memorable, and just like her name is not really memorable. I just might forget her face. If you show me her face 2 days from now, I'll be like, who that? It's not the actress's fault. The writers of this film didn't do a good job of progressing the story arc for this main character. There was essentially something, a part of her face, like a scar, that's supposed to be the main thing with her character in the book, but for this film, I feel like they went to a different direction, because the scars on her face wasn't the thing that drove her character just like it did in the books. And it was a big thing in the books, but for this film, it wasn't a big thing. But yet she goes to great lengths to cover it, and the film never explains why she goes to great lengths to cover these scars. I feel like that was a missed opportunity there. Yes, in the books, the scar is much more severe, yes, and I understood why they wanted to go in this direction, because they want to have a pretty face. Who want to watch a disfigured woman for 2 hours? Not me. So they had to put a beautiful face, so they just gave her scratches, not scars. The film crammed so many characters in this film that the film tried to give one of the side characters they just introduced a side story, and I didn't care. It's like the film was just going nowhere. Even Hugo Weaving, who is Agent Smith, who is Red Skull, didn't really show up in this film. His performance was just lacking. just the writing in general. Since I got all the negatives out the way, let me get to the positives. And here are the positives. The CGI was great. The cinematography was really brilliant. Visual effects was very stunning in many ways. I was just amazed. The one thing I had to say was one of the best things about this movie was its action sequences and the score revolving around the action sequences. It brought much more intensity to the action sequences. And when I had to say, there were some action sequences where I was sort of on the edge of my seat. So I had to give a little bit of a clap with the fingers. Yeah, clap the fingers. Yeah. Progress makes perfect. I had to give Mortal Engines a Val Kilmer Batman. This is a forgettable film. I recommend you don't really see in theaters. This film was really boring. And lack of character development, too many characters. Even the film tried to give a side character they just introduced a subplot. If the film tries to do something like that, you know you're going in the bad direction. Guys, have you seen Mortal Engines? What are your thoughts on Mortal Engines? Give me your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Now, I will have an early review of Aquaman. Can't wait to review that. It's coming out real soon. Stay tuned for that. And if you like everything you see and you agree, subscribe to my channel and join me in the Batman family. I'll have more Batman-tastic reviews in the way. You have been warned. Till then, ciao.